I mean,
that's dragon theme. What was that?
That seems amazing.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't see the recipe, so I mean, I was like super close to making it anyway with hot tea. So
look at Miranda's got her dragon Beijing mug. Yay!
That you brought back for me.
Yeah. So I had to carry 2 of these suckers in my suitcase. Oh gosh.
All right, we're officially live streaming on YouTube with 700 million other people probably right this very moment. So I don't know that means anything too special, but then this is the point where I spotlight Jen, and then no one sees anybody but Jen for the remainder of our time together. She put on lips though, I've been told, so it's all good. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Well, I'm just gonna open by saying thank you so much, Jen. This was P. Samadhi is going to be on at a different point, but she realized that she had a work thing that came up and she was not able to do this. She expressed disappointment, and I believed her. So that's what really matters, is that she said she was disappointed and I believed her. And so I said, Jen, last night I said, Jen, you want to do another happy hour? And you said yes, which is extraordinary. Yes. And so we're so glad.
It reminds me, Johnny, of, last time we talked about me being the Andy to your Conan, but it turns out I'm more like the Al Roker to your Conan, because they worked in the same building. So you could just call Al Roker at the last minute and he's always available to come on Conan.
If you got a guest job, you go get Al Roker. There you go. You're Al Roker. Congratulations.
So I don't know if that's a promotion or a demotion from Andy to Al Roker, but I'm feeling good about it tonight.
Have you ever pooped your pants at the White House, Jen? That's the biggest question I think that I have. Okay, that was, I suppose, my biggest question based on that. So Jen, we have questions lined up that are different from last time. Last time we touched on so many different topics. Your knee fetish, for example. I don't remember anything else actually besides that, but we did talk about that at least.
Yeah.
But we have new pathways to tread here. So first and foremost, I want to know, I did not realize until last night when we were talking, you grew up and you described it. This is not my words. You described it as prosperity gospel. What does that mean exactly? Can you explain? When you say I grew up in a prosperity gospel church, tell us about that. What does that look like growing up? Okay,
yeah. First of all, to all of you who did want to see P. Samadhi tonight streaming on YouTube, I apologize. You are stuck with Jen Morrow of Des Moines, Iowa.
You've got 3% of the melanin of P. Samadhi, but all of the heart. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So it's okay. Right. Yeah.
I'll take that. Wow. Okay. So I did grow up in a word of faith is what we would call it. It's like Pentecostal adjacent. So this is a kind of movement. It's a charismatic movement that started, in the 1900s, but like Oral Roberts, Kenneth Hagin, Kenneth Copeland, Marilyn Hickey.
Is this like name it and claim it? Is the word of faith like you say the word so that see something, say something, get something, basically is word of faith.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think I would have described it at more like our prayers were focused on outcomes.
Oh, sure.
You could say name it, claim it, Johnny. That's fine. Maybe that's a little bit disparaging. I don't know. I'm not offended. But so I will. I did. I said I called it prosperity gospel because money was a big kind of thing that people prayed about and prayed for miracles, prayed for their bank accounts to expand. I had a pastor who said that he prayed and then he opened his Bible and there was $100 bill inside of it for him. So these are the types of things that people were focused on. And, it's easy to see why in a Western kind of capitalist society that like we live in, you're gonna view your faith through that lens. It's kind of hard to escape the culture, even if you say you live in the world and you're not of the world. You're gonna have to be pretty deliberate to get rid of that lens.
Paying bills in the world still, though, unfortunately. Right. Yeah, exactly. That's the trouble.
Yeah, that's right. You still pay bills. So, I think that prosperity gospel type churches and folks really do get a bad rap in the broader Christian kind of world. And I don't necessarily appreciate that, even though I don't subscribe to that kind of theology anymore. But like, it is based on themes that people read about in the Bible, and they, they do have scriptures that they have certain interpretations of that they use. So I mean, it's not like they're just pulling it out of thin air. I really, honestly, still to this day, have a hard time believing that a lot of these people just really are, in the beginning, greedy, money hungry people who just want everybody to send their tithes into them. I have a hard time believing that, because I've known the hearts of so many people who really do just want to see others live an abundant life, and that for them includes money. So yeah, I don't know. Is that a good?
You're being generous to the people. No. I think that's good. It's good I think you have generosity of spirit toward this movement and these leaders, and I think that's a good thing. But I think there is one thing maybe you are going to be less generous on, Jen, and that is what they ruined your Halloween memories. Is that right? Am I understanding? What was the Halloween policy?
Okay, Miranda, my friend Miranda, I see her here in the room. I don't know if our YouTube viewers can see her in the room right now, but she's here. And I'm just going to make a confession right now. 1997, age 18, both of us. Miranda receives a card in the mail from her mom. We're away at college. Her mom sends her a card. How thoughtful, how wonderful is that? This card is a Halloween card. And when you open it up, it's full of like jack-o'-lantern confetti and sequins and stuff. It's the 90s.
Sure, yeah.
So this is how you celebrated in the 90s.
Absolutely.
And
sequins.
This is so wonderful, right? And lovely. And who doesn't want mail when texting doesn't exist? So, but in my heart of hearts, Miranda and world, I admit and repent to you now that I thought this was the most evil thing a mother could do. Send somebody a Halloween card because Halloween is of the devil, okay?
Can't celebrate, can't enjoy. 18, you were going with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm 42 and I only just carved a pumpkin for the very first time myself this year.
Oh my gosh, Jen, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So and here's another little.
How many fall festivals? How many Hallelujah hay rides have you been on?
That's exactly it. It wasn't until literally a couple of years ago that one of my friends was like, "What do you mean you didn't celebrate Halloween growing up?" And I'm like, "Well, we weren't allowed to go trick-or-treating. We couldn't do evil stuff. Like, it's of the devil, blah, blah, blah." And she's like, "So what did you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, we went to the church, like, Holy Ghost party." Yeah. And she's like, "Well, what'd you do there?" And I'm like, "Well, you dress up in a costume like a Bible character and you get candy." And she goes, "So you dressed up in a costume and you got candy? That's the same thing."
You did it. You did the thing.
It took me this long, like into adulthood, to realize, oh yeah, we were doing the exact same thing, but we were just doing it for Jesus. So anyway, exactly. Miranda, I apologize to you for my judgment about the confetti and the card. That was awful.
I love it. I love that because I also did not get to celebrate Halloween, and we also did a fair share of the fall festivals and things like that. And it is just, I was talking to my wife the other day because I was raised very fundamentalist, and I told her I miss the old fundamentalism where you interpreted the Monster Energy can and tried to find the satanic symbols on it. Like, that's like the good, honest, old fundamental. Like, now it's like Christian nationalism, and it's gross. I don't like this stuff, but I like the old fundamentalism where it was fall festivals and, telling you Halloween is gonna turn you to the devil and all that.
Why aren't we listening to records backwards, trying to find
these messages? Thank you, Jen. Yes, we are same page. We have that old. If you never read a Chick track, you don't know about old fundamentalism. That's all I can say about that. So
that's right.
So we talked a little bit last time about your decision to become a spiritual director. And when we were talking before this interview, you were saying, yes, you do spiritual direction. It got me wondering this question. What about your own spiritual direction? Like, was there a moment, or was there like a theme, or like what was that? What happened within that you were like, I want to do this for someone. Like, I would like to take someone else on this journey.
Sure. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. There's so many directions I could go here, but I guess I would say that, like, for me, having grown up in a system like I described, where like there's one way to do something. There is one correct way to worship. There is one correct way to pray. And the proof, the evidence is in the outcomes. You know
You
what I
open
mean?
your Bible and there's
there's your
and
$100
there's the
bill.
money. Yeah, right. Yeah. You cannot argue with the money Bible. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. So I think in like going through adulthood in general and a trauma of my own to various degrees, I kind of figured out, oh, I guess, bad things can happen to good people, just like the Bible did actually try to tell us in the book of Job and elsewhere.
Sure. Yeah.
So just having somebody that was available to walk through those things with me and like kind of answer those questions, or let me know that I wasn't the only person to have ever asked these questions. And my spiritual director is really good at, like, she has a lot of prayers, maybe not fully memorized, but she can direct me toward this saint or this church father wrote a prayer like this. That's exactly what you're talking about.
Sure.
And so these there's nothing new under the sun. Other people have had these questions about their faith, about their spirituality, and I have somebody who's kind of a wise sage who is able to point me to prayers and ideas and concepts that help really to strengthen my faith and keep me going in the right direction. So I don't know, that's really important to me. And if I could help somebody, Christian or not, I am a Christian, but just because that Christians aren't the only people with a spiritual life.
Sure.
So if there was somebody who was not a Christian who wanted spiritual direction, I would love to walk alongside that person and be encouraging to them as well. So I don't know, I wouldn't say there was like a single moment in time where I was like, I want to do this, but it's just kind of been like the journey with my spiritual director and like the ways that she's pointed me to God and to different prayers. That's just been so helpful.
Yeah. I love that she's resourced you right within your faith. And I think churches are good at telling, but not maybe good at resourcing. Yeah. And so I think that's really beautiful that you now want to resource others. So that's good.
Totally. Good. And it is, I mean, I do want to make this distinction here. A spiritual director is not a therapist. So I'm going through a 3-year program, but I will not be a mental health expert or a therapist at the end of that time. So even the other day when I met with my spiritual director, I said, I have this issue that I want to bring up to you. I need to talk through this. I need to process this, but it's kind of big. And I know you're not my therapist, so I'm not sure how much of this you want to hear. And she was kind of like, go ahead and I'll just make sure that I have my spiritual director kind of cap on and what I'm not trained for, we won't do, because a spiritual director isn't going to teach you skills for your emotional life in the way that a therapist does. It's different.
I think it's good to know your lane. I think every time I'm asked to do counseling, I immediately tell the person, I have 0 degrees in counseling.
Yeah.
We can talk, but I'm not a counselor, cannot do counseling, have no experience or expertise in counseling. And too many pastors, oh my gosh, it's like they think they took a semester of counseling at Butt Crack Bible College, and now they think they're ready to go. So my God, they think they're Oprah. Okay, so I want to know.
But you are an internet chaplain. I will,
I'm trying to put the mantle upon myself of internet chaplain. It feels grandiose. I didn't know how else to say it. But I don't know if I can live up to that or not. Internet talk show host, I would be more comfortable as, but nobody, it's like, who's paying for that?
And everybody's an internet talk show host. And a DJ and a photographer. So
and a podcaster. Literally all the things that I'm doing is what every mediocre white guy is doing. That's been used, that phrase, mediocre white guy, has been used in 2 conversations I've had recently. And they weren't talking about me, but they were talking about me. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm comfortable with that. I know who I am, and that is pretty accurate, and that's okay.
Right.
I want to know, Jen, I want to know what you had a spiritual experience in Nepal.
Oh Lord.
Something, I would say it's almost like something touched you. You know what I'm saying? Like just maybe even grabbed, maybe even. Well, you tell me what happened.
It's
Jen.
almost like you grew up charismatic. It's like you know these words.
I know the language. Yeah. I could lead you into it. Yeah.
Before I tell you about Nepal, though, I do want to make sure I say, growing up charismatic and in specifically in my Word of Faith tradition, which, by the way, Sarah Bessey, author of Jesus Feminist, same exact faith tradition, Word of Faith movement. So I connect with her quite a bit.
Sarah Bessey, bang.
Yeah, we're one and the same.
Put a piece of paper between them. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I love it.
But I do want to make it clear that I think if you're going to grow up in a Christian world, this might be the best way to grow up as a Christian because, and I'm not being sarcastic, I'm not setting up a bit, Johnny, like you think I am. This is real. It's because I will never doubt, I never have, nor will I ever doubt that God speaks to people today. I know that to be true. The Holy Spirit is very much a focus in a charismatic church. And so there's no doubt that the Holy Spirit is at work, on the move, and speaking today. So that's something that I am so grateful for. You know, we talk about include and transcend, right? So there are things that I want to include from my childhood upbringing, and that's one of them.
This is spiritual director talk. Include and transcend. You're walking us through the process now. I like that, Jen. Thank you. I appreciate that. Include and transcend.
It's true, but other stuff, let's transcend.
I'm stealing that for my internet chaplaincy. I'm taking that. I just want you to know that right now.
Because I got that from Richard Bohr, who got it from somebody else. Okay, but anyway, I have been to the country of Nepal. Nepal is near India. It's where Mount Everest is. I should have done a little quiz. I should have done a geography quiz, but I didn't plan that in advance.
I don't know.
That's what happens when you're a last minute guest.
I was homeschooled, and let me tell you, there's not much you want to include from that. It's mostly transcend, and geography is not in the include category. Okay, so I'm glad we didn't do that.
Okay, so I spent about a month in Nepal in 2013, and it's really beautiful. It's so awesome. Kathmandu is there. It's a very spiritual place.
That's where Dr. Strange got
Diwali,
trained.
everybody,
Yeah,
by the way. Oh, sorry. What did you say, Johnny?
I said that's where Dr. Strange got trained. Yeah, for sure. We're on the same page. Yeah, Kathmandu. Okay. It is Diwali. Okay. Yes, it is. That's true.
We're all over the place. Okay, so anyway, the reason I was working in Nepal is because I was in a very remote village, very, very remote. And there's a school there, a Christian school there in the village where I worked. I actually worked at the school and slept in a classroom. Those were my accommodations. And their goal was to get little girls enrolled in their elementary school, because if they didn't, those little girls would become child brides.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
That is a very serious problem.
Wow.
And actually that happens in America too, that there are child brides. You know that it's only illegal to have a child bride in 2 states in this country? But anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. Okay. So back to my hilarious anecdote.
Just leave that in the ether.
Y'all can Google that later. We'll talk.
Which states, Jen?
It's a scary world out there. Okay, so I'm staying in Nepal, and I'm staying with this just lovely family, which is made up of a husband and wife, the matriarch and patriarch of the family. They have 2 adult sons, one of whom is married, and they all kind of live in this very small hut on the property where the school is. Okay. No electricity, like no lights in the night, you can't see. And it's a long walk from my classroom to the outhouse, literal outhouse. And this one particular night, I was getting up to leave the classroom to go to the bathroom, outhouse. And I say to one of the ladies that I'm working with, "Oh, I don't want to walk all the way out there. I can't find my headlamp, blah, blah." And she's like, "Well, are you just going number 1?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Just go in the yard, like the schoolyard out front of the school,
Sure.
And I was like, "Do you do that?" And she's like, "Well, yeah. It's dark. Nobody can see. Nobody's around. Nobody can see anything." And
We're in
I
the
was like,
foothills of Mount Everest, for God's sake. Who cares?
exactly. So I go out there and I mean, gosh, this is so
When you told me to ask you this story, I didn't realize it was so PG-13, Jen. I didn't realize.
so I go outside,
Sure.
drop my pajamas, and I'm squatting in the yard, and I hear breathing and pitter patter, like quick pitter patter and breath coming from behind me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening out here in the pitch black dark of Nepal, a very spiritual land. So, and I already told you I'm raised a certain way, so everything's a demon where I come from. So anyway,
Could be the Holy Spirit running up on you. It could be the devil. It could, was it Halloween? We don't know.
Exactly. So sure enough, this dog or creature of some kind comes and nips me on the booty, and I'm like screaming and freaking out, as you can imagine. I think everybody knows my volume levels that I can attain.
Oh my gosh.
So next thing you know, a bunch of men with like weapons being like shovels and hoes and farm equipment, because that's all we have here, have come running because I'm still screaming. I pull up my pants fast enough, and we don't speak the same language, and I am like just freaking out and like indicating like I'm trying to like mime a creature, and they say Jackal. So a jackal had
you mime the
come
creature
and
for
ran.
us? I would like you to mime the creature for us real quick. It would mean a lot to me, Jen.
No. I think I've done enough damage with this story already.
A jackal gave you a bite.
Oh my gosh. So yeah.
Did anything good happen on this trip? Because last time we talked about how half of Thailand thinks that there was a silver-haired prostitute, and now we've talked about the jackal. I'm just wondering.
Yes, many good things did happen.
Good. Okay. Good.
Wow.
Good.
The
next happy hour you step in for, we'll tell some good stories.
That was a good story, I'll tell you that.
Oh, that's true. Story-wise, that was top notch. You got me there. That's very accurate.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, I just want everyone to know that the men of Nepal will come to your rescue if you scream in the night, and that's comforting for me.
If the jackal arrives. Good.
I love the chat, you guys. Oh my gosh. Sam, I did say everything's a demon where I come from.
There you go, man. That word of faith.
Oh gosh.
All right, we're gonna do quick hit questions. I like to do the quick hit questions. I don't have quite as many as last time, but
Nice.
as I do these, if you guys have any questions for Jen, be they about word of faith, if she ever found money in a Bible, be they about other animals that may have bit her, be they about spiritual direction, whatever, throw them in the chat. Okay, we're gonna go through these questions that I have, and then any questions that show up in the chat. Okay, Jen, are you ready? Are you prepared for this? All right.
I can be fast.
It's a weird, just to start with, a bizarre question. What is your favorite smell?
The candle that's burning right now.
What is it?
Sandalwood vanilla.
Sandalwood vanilla. Okay. My wife and I get the Fireside from what is it called? Bath and Body Works, and it's delightful. It's not the Fireside marshmallow. That's trash. Has to be Fireside. All right.
Oh, geez.
What is your current Wi-Fi name?
Flow Wi-Fi. That's the name of it.
Who is your Wi-Fi provider exactly?
Mediacom.
Mediacom. All right.
There aren't
What
any
is?
choices, really.
You don't get any CenturyLink out there in the boonies?
Oh, I got rid of them just a few months ago.
Oh, that was even slower. That was slower internet. Okay, I like it. What do you call a male ladybug?
Oh, gent bug.
I like that.
Is that right?
Gent bug. I think they're all ladybugs.
Well, I mean, is that what you guys called them?
We definitely were not allowed to say ladybug. Yeah. Do you like pineapple on your pizza?
100%. Number 14, pizza at Eatery A on Ingersoll Avenue, Des Moines, Iowa. Chorizo, jalapeno sauce, pineapple. It's delightful.
I will now hold on a second. If somebody said to me, do you like pineapple on your pizza? I would say no, absolutely not. But what you just described is a gourmet flatbread at Eatery A.
Yes.
That I feel is a little different, right? Like I'm saying Domino's.
Well, I'm not going to
Pineapple.
eat that anyway. Why am I eating Domino's? I'm not a Ninja Turtle. I can go to Eatery A. I can go to Centro.
So bougie. Wow. Too good for Domino's. Maybe if you saved money on the Centro and the Eatery A on Domino's, you'd have faster Wi-Fi, Jen. Okay.
True. Oh, well.
Have you ever been caught cheating on a test?
I've never cheated on a test. I don't think I've ever cheated on a test.
Well, that's good.
I've
like that.
stolen candy from my brother multiple times. That's my greatest sin.
Okay.
This is the first time I've confessed it in public. That's all I got.
Right. We all heard it. We all heard it here first. Jen's confession of stealing candy. Have you ever had an imaginary friend?
No.
No.
No. I have too many real life friends to manage to add in fake ones.
And then last question, it's a two-parter. Last book you read, best book you can remember reading. I don't like to ask people like a favorite because that's ridiculous. We watch all these movies and read these books. Okay, go ahead.
Here we have most current book I've read. And it's called The Wisdom Way of Knowing. And so if you guys want to read what spiritual directors read, here you go. This is Spiritual Direction 101, The Wisdom Way of Knowing. He talks about how Jesus, was the original wise man who, teaches us how to be intuitive and honor the nuance and mystery.
Right.
So, but best book I can remember reading. Shucks.
Do you like fiction?
What?
Do you like fiction?
I don't like fiction.
Oh, okay.
Really? So I would say memoir wise though, I did really like Jedediah Jenkins' book, the first one, To Shake the Sleeping Self.
Oh.
Have you read it?
My wife might have. She's much smarter than me.
Sheila's read it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a good one.
I have found that if you marry someone who reads a lot, then you can say you've read a lot because they'll tell you what the books are about.
Okay. I'll have
You're
to
like,
marry a reader.
Yeah, there you go. You're like, did you read Educated? I'm like, heck yeah. This is my favorite book of 2019. I don't read that.
Oh,
I lived Educated. I don't gotta read that stuff. Okay. I lived that stuff. I know what it's about. All right. Any questions pop up in the chat? No, people are not interested in you or your life, Jen. All right.
It's because I painted myself as a goody two-shoes by saying I never cheated on a test. Sorry, I don't have exciting academic problems.
You never plagiarized. You never copied Wikipedia.
No, but I was definitely mortified when I went to Christian high school and people would cheat on their memory verses. I would recite my memory verses to the teacher, but some people would choose to write them down because they were cheating. So couldn't stand that.
Hide God's word in your heart. Hello.
Exactly.
Kayla felt guilty because I said nobody cares about your life and asked, what is your favorite spiritual practice when you're feeling burned out?
Ooh, that's a good question. When I'm feeling burned out, I try to incorporate this spiritual practice more often than just when I'm burnt out, but it is breathing, and trying to do like mindfulness exercises or grounding exercises. So essentially, when I'm feeling very like all over the place, I just do a couple breaths and a very simple, what do I see? What do I smell?
Right.
What do I taste? What do I hear? What do I feel? 5 senses, grounding exercise, just kind of takes you back to, where you're supposed to be. Does it actually keep you from feeling burnt out? No, not necessarily. But if you're in the right frame of mind, you can at least kind of reprioritize a little bit.
I like
you
that.
know?
Do you, as an Enneagram 7, do you feel like
Wait a second. Breaking news in the chat. That was me, Jen. I was the Bible verse cheater.
Hankins is owning. He's owning it.
It's Stacy. Oh man, Stacy, I didn't even know you cheated.
Wow.
More
It's getting juicy at happy hour. I don't know what to say. Good gracious.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted you, Johnny, with my breaking news.
No, your breaking news is perfect. I was going to say, as an Enneagram 7, do you find spiritual practices difficult?
Yes.
Yes.
I find certain spiritual practices difficult. I actually only recently, I'm talking about in the past 3.5 years, actually learned how to lament and allow myself to sit with heavier feelings and emotions and do that in a way that's like honoring to God and to myself. So that is very new to me because, again, with my background, there's such a strong emphasis on confession and the words of your mouth. So to say I'm not doing very well is like adjacent to sinning with your words because you're not having a positive confession. So for me to like learn how to lament and to sit with it was not only going against my natural personality, which always wants to be up and doing something fun and avoiding pain, but it was also going against my upbringing. So it's pretty tough.
That's that. I think I said this last time. I'll say it again. I would trust an Enneagram 7 to be my spiritual director before and no offense to these lovely, lovely, wonderful people, an Enneagram 1. Enneagram 1s, you're freaking perfect. Oh, la-di-da. You've like got an A on every test you've ever taken. I can't learn from you. I am not good like that.
Right.
Can you tell me? Oh, just, it's like, I'm not you, but a 7, if you could be like, look, I listened to a lot of LMFAO back in the day in the club, and now I'm doing this. Like, I'm here for it. That's my spiritual director. I wonder, do you know him?
I'm glad that you're willing to see a 7 as a spiritual director because I think a lot of people don't like 7s because either A, they want to be us and they can't, hey, or because they think like we're too selfish and we're moving too fast and not sticking with things.
I'm with you. If anybody is interested in breath prayer, let me just recommend this little book. Maybe you've heard of it, To Light Their Way. Happy Hour is brought to you by To Light Their Way, authored by, what does that say? Kayla Craig. I think I know her. A whole section of breath prayers in the back for you to enjoy, whether you're a parent or not. Kayla says, I did not pay for this. You will later. I
purchased that book and I would definitely recommend it. You can find it at Amazon or your local bookstore.
There you go. What is the weirdest thing written on the stall wall at a Christian high school?
Well, I have 2 high school classmates in the room, so maybe they remember, but I don't remember there being writing on the stall. You kidding me?
Not
That'd be cleaned up so fast by an Enneagram 1 teacher.
Leah says it was the typical stuff. Yeah. 8675309. We were all there. Do you still hate snow?
I hate driving in snow. That is true. But I can now appreciate the flakes coming down and looking, sparkly.
Yeah. Okay. I'm good with snow December 1 to like January 5. After that, we don't need any more of that crap.
Done. Yeah.
Get out of here.
I get that.
All right. All right. I have a question, and it was not on our itinerary, which brings me a lot of joy. What is it? How do you manage, Jen? Um, you grew up word of faith. I know that you have family that are still maybe very conservative
Yeah.
in their Christian faith. This is another thing we have in common, you and I. How do you manage family as you yourself have gone through a process of including and transcending certain aspects of your
Using my
upbringing?
words against me. Hey, first of all, I just want to get in front of this and say, I don't know that I've managed this very well. So this is a process, and this is really tough. I think that anybody has, regardless of their faith or their spirituality or their religion or their politics, could have trouble with their parents just because of, your parents are always going to look at you as the little kid that you used to be,
Mhm.
and you're not that little kid anymore. So it's tough. But I will admit, again, boy, I'm making a lot of confessions. First, the greeting card that
It's
Miranda,
happy hour, baby. It just happens. We can't help it.
your Barbara Walters, it's all pouring out.
It's Barbara Wawa, and you can't help it. It just is what it is.
Yeah, but I think I can and do some code switching of sorts. I can
Mm.
speak in a way that is familiar to my family, and so I can do that if I need to kind of just get along, or if I don't want to address like actual, if I don't want to confront things that I disagree with. I honestly, I don't always do it. Now there are some issues that are too big of a deal
Mm.
to just let them slide, and so I do tend to address those things. I mean, I don't know that I'm always as soft as I should be, but I think, we all got to pick our battles and try our best, to address things with our families.
It's true. Everybody on this call manages that. Everybody on this call, and so I think that's well said. That actually brings me to an interesting next question. We had talked about Saeed, and we didn't know if he'd be able to make it tonight, and that's okay. You are in an interfaith relationship now.
Yeah.
Saeed is your boyfriend, and he is Buddhist.
Yeah.
Has he met your family?
Hmm.
How TF is that going?
Okay. I love this. Oh, I bit my tongue. Whoa. But I won't hold back. It's not that kind of tongue biting. Okay. So yes, I have a boyfriend, whose name is Saeed, and he is not a Christian. So the first thing I want to say about that is I feel sometimes judgment from certain other Christians, like thinking that like I couldn't possibly be a real Christian if my boyfriend is
Mm,
Buddhist,
mm.
which is really unfortunate and not true, because I can't think of anything more important to me than Jesus. And so for somebody to make that judgment about me without knowing me or without knowing Saeed is very hurtful. But on the flip side, I've done the same thing. I've done the exact same thing to other people throughout my life.
Well,
Like,
it's just like back when Miranda got a very innocent Halloween card, and you were like,
yeah,
"Wow, I guess Miranda's going to hell now." So
yes,
that sucks. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. I mean, it's true. So I mean, that's a tough, that's really tough, because I know my heart, I know my relationship with God, and I know Saeed, and I know his heart, and he is a wonderful man. He happens to not be a Christian. Um, but yes, he has met my family, and my family, they love Saeed. Who wouldn't? He's a wonderful guy. And so
That's great.
anybody who has met him and talked to him at length, they would actually appreciate who he is.
Yeah.
He's very curious. He's very compassionate. One of the things he is curious about is Jesus and the Bible and Christianity. But other people kind of hear me say that and they think, oh, good, yeah, he's gonna get born again and go to heaven. But for me, it's like, I understand that that's your theology and that's the
Sure.
black and white way you look at the world. But for me, we are engaging in a dialogue. He's curious about my life and what's important to me. I'm curious about his life and what's important to him. And that is how we cultivate our relationship with each other, is through curiosity. So yeah, I guess I have learned so much about what it means to be open-minded through talking to him. I've learned actually like what's really truly important in my faith. Like, what's the most important thing about my religion that I want to share with somebody who's asking questions. I've had to like distill that down to what's the most important thing. And you know what the first thing I shared with him was? The Sermon on the Mount. We were talking on the phone. We hadn't even started officially dating yet. We were talking about faith and religion. And I was like, well, have you ever heard of the Sermon on the Mount? He's like, no, what is it? I'm like, it's Jesus' rock star sermon that he preached. And so I read it to him over the phone. I read him the whole thing, and he loved it, and he hadn't heard it before. And to be able to share that with somebody and have them hear it for the first time and have them ask questions about it and be curious about it is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. Something I've never shared with a man that I've dated who was a Christian. Those guys are too busy trying to oppress you and get you to submit. They're not curious about your theology.
Perfect, Jen. That's wonderful.
Sorry to all the Christian men on the.
I love that. That's fantastic. I had a next question all lined up, and it flew out of my head when you said that, Jen. Just gone. Absolutely, just like. Well,
if I may shamelessly plug something I'm doing, right? So, if you have not heard about the digital community, that's what this happy hour is a part of. Additionally, I've been hosting or kind of moderating, I guess, a discussion group about the podcast, The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill. So if you've listened to the podcast, which is produced by Christianity Today, and you want a space to talk about the content of the podcast, awesome. We're doing it on Wednesday nights. So you can get in touch with me for more info about that.
Where we talk about those toxic Christian men.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, absolutely we do. It's wonderful.
It is.
All right, Jen, it's 9:15. I got one more question. For you. Okay. So you brought up the digital community. The digital community, it's the whole thing is just like trying to create a space for people to seek out, hopefully discover spiritual fullness and fulfillment. Generally, we're talking about people who have like decided they're not going to find that in the church, which valid. Okay. But we do a lot of deconstruction talk. We do a lot of, what the old timers would have called losing my religion talk. As you've decided what to include and transcend, as you have maybe gone through, you said you didn't like the word yesterday, but deconstruction in some way or another, what holds your faith? A lot of deconstruction journeys end with deconversion, and I understand. I don't have a lot of judgment for people like that because I get it. But I am more interested, no offense to my atheist friends, I am much more interested in the folks who stick around, who see it for what it is and stay. So what holds your faith together?
Yeah, you're right. You mentioned that I said yesterday I don't like the word deconstruction, and I'm going to double down on that. That's not my favorite word. It is a common vernacular now, but I think I'm going to go with refinement for me. So like for myself, I had to go through kind of a refining process and figure out what needed to be, what was out and what was in, for my religion and my faith. So what holds my faith together is I'm going to give the Sunday school answer, but I'm going to expand. So hopefully it doesn't sound.
Did you open a Bible and find $100 and you were like, this is it? Oh my God, this is it.
No, it's Jesus. And the reason why I can say that is this. So when I am uncertain about something, like, why is this happening? Why, whatever it may be, I know that I can look to Jesus and I can find, for an example, I've shared before how when I've gone through a really terrible trauma, I found comfort knowing that Jesus suffered too. He's also gone through something similar. anything I'm going through, I can look to Jesus and find out, oh yeah, he welcomes my questions. Oh yeah, it's not all about, I saw this ridiculous TikTok where this person, maybe you guys have seen it on Christian Nightmares. This person is like doing their laundry really slowly and sadly in front of the laundry machine. And they're looking at every piece of laundry and they don't have the energy to fold it. And it's like, that's before Jesus. And then the next clip is like after Jesus. And they're like, yeah, they're going crazy with the laundry. They can't fold it fast enough. They're loving laundry.
Is Jesus cocaine? I'm really confused about.
It's a new strain of cocaine.
Yeah, there's the Jesus cocaine. Great.
But I guess, and that kind of stuff, I probably would have put a like on that when I was 15 years old. But the truth is, Jesus is not here to make you happy in that kind of way. Jesus is not going to take all your problems away. It's not true. Jesus suffered too. So I find comfort in that. I find comfort in knowing that Jesus welcomes my questions. Jesus welcomes my doubts. Jesus has, a direction for me to go. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who mourn. These are things that are so much bigger than like any family conflict or anybody judging me because I have a boyfriend who's not a Christian, or it's bigger than Halloween. All the things we've talked about, like these truths are just so beautiful to me. And so being able to look to that is just awesome.
I love it. It started as a Sunday school answer, but you rounded it out so that it wasn't. Okay. So that's all right.
Good.
Well, this is like Richard Rohr taught the Sunday school class, maybe like then, but not the ones I went to. Jen, thank you so much for hanging out. I'm going to stop the live stream. And then if people want to hang out, we like to hang out in the room and just chat, and Jen can catch up with all her old college roommates and things like that. So I'm going to stop